Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It is Pal Ponder on Weather coming to you live here with more storm coverage this afternoon. It's about 3:20 here on Monday, and yet we have another storm complex that is moving into the Metroplex. They already actually have a severe thunderstorm watch in place for those areas across northeast Texas as well as into Arkansas. Those are a little bit stronger. They do have some 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts associated with that one, but the leading squall line is moving out of Oklahoma. These are the storms that we are watching pretty much all morning long that came into the Kansas region. About 4 o'clock in the morning, they had some 80 mile per hour wind gust out there, big complex. And that continued to dive southbound through Oklahoma City. And this is where it's at right now, or at least what's left of it. Yeah, it's crossed over the Red River. Now that leading edge, and this is mainly just some heavier rain just north of Dallas. But yeah, right along Highway 82 there, they've got some heavier rains and around to Gainesville, portions of Sherman here, as well as into Bonham, those areas back into Paris. Yes, they're getting some heavier rains and the leading squall line and some gusty winds associated with this line. Now it's approaching Celeste back into the Melissa region, as well as into Anna. Those areas back into Wolf City, Ladona, back into Leonard. You're getting the leading squall line of this kind of heavier rains. I know it's getting pretty dark outside, so they are, the skies are darkening in a big way, but it's kind of a bigger squall line that really just extends well into Arkansas as well. So you can see this convective complex shifting all the way to Idabel, Oklahoma, back into DeQueen, as well as into Mount Ida. It shifts all the way through Fort Smith. So this is a pretty, long squall line. It's skinny, but it's a long squall line that's, moving more or less east, southeastward today. And so that's continued to dive into those areas. So they do, in fact, have a severe thunderstorm watch in place for those areas across northeast Texas. It does include those areas like, say, the Mount Pleasant, New Boston region, back into Texarkana, those areas back into Shreveport, as well as into Farmersville, El Dorado area, back into Arkansas, Arkadelphia, back into Hot Springs, Arkansas. So you are expected to get some stronger thunderstorms with this leading squall line. Now, of course, this is just the initial event. This is not compensating for, anything else that might actually form today across this region, because we do have several outflow boundaries. And in fact, we do have a just issued severe thunderstorm warning for those areas across Mount Ida, with some stronger wind gusts approaching the 60 mile per hour range. But the main impact from this, at least this first initial pass, would just be some heavier rains. It does have some gustier winds on the leading edge of this this kind of complex that's racing across Oklahoma. There are several outflow boundaries. So there are going to be several outflow boundaries. I know there's one literally just kind of draped across the Red River. So this is areas that could spark new initiation, as we get deeper into the afternoon. There's another complex. There's another instability as far up in the northwest, those areas back into, like, say, Wichita Falls, the Vernon region, Childress, back into Memphis. This area has another kind of outflow boundary. So these are areas that we'll be looking out for during this live coverage to see if any other storm initiation is going to pop. So yes, we are getting deeper in the day. I mean, the dew point is just crazy high right now. It's like 77. So it's pretty significant out there. It doesn't take much to overturn the atmosphere. And there's also another outflow boundary again out in West Texas. So there's several outflow boundaries that really don't have anything as far as thunderstorms convection right now along those, but we are looking for new development to spark, as we get deeper into the afternoon. But right now, our main concern is this little squall line that is just continue to push slightly east-southeast. It's taken its sweet time, and it's left some pretty good heavy rains in its wake as well, back into Bonham, as well as into Paris, back into southeastern Oklahoma, into the Idabel region. So yeah, the initial push is pushing through Cooper, back into Commerce, and it is approaching, getting closer to the Highway 380 region, getting closer to Celeste, back into Anna, Melissa, Again, this is just some pockets of heavier rains. You can see the darkening skies that are getting a little bit darker outside. So it actually, as we were talking, remember the outflow boundary that we talked about this just about a minute ago was up here into the northwest across these regions in Wichita Falls. So they did in fact put out a potential watch, right? So this is a potential watch for this area for some isolated supercell development, possibly around 5 or 6 o'clock. So this is kind of just a preliminary watch area to watch. It's not a confirmed severe thunderstorm watch. But yes, this area has the instability. It does have a tornado risk across this region. We're talking Pampa, Elk City, Woodward, Oklahoma, Altus, Vernon, Childress, Wichita Falls region. Those areas could actually see some risk of some significant hail. That's the larger hail. That's the 2-inch or greater variety hail, and locally damaging winds and a potential tornado. So if there are supercells that do pop out of this region that's highlighted across the blue area, that could turn pretty significant and could drop some of the biggest hail of the day, and also have the greater probability of seeing a tornado or two. And the Storm Prediction Center actually mentions even a potentially strong tornado if one of these supercells starts to fire. So we'll be looking at cloud tops, especially as we get deeper into the afternoon. And if they start to rise, and remember, the key is looking for that east-southeast trajectory. Once they form, they typically start to move northeast. But as they grow taller and upscale growth, then they tend to move on more of an eastward trajectory. But more concerning, once they get tall enough, that's when they'll start turning the east-southeast trajectory. That's when I'm really concerned, when the biggest hail is going to come out of that atmosphere. And also there's have a more probability of it starting to rotate as well. So that's not happening as of now, but between 5 and 6 o'clock, we'll be watching this area across the northwest. Hey everyone, how's it going? How's Plano looking? So you're staying north. So this is staying north of 380. Well, right now it's north of 380. It's slowly pushing east southeast. Hey, winds are picking up in McKinney. Darkness right now in McKinney. Hey, winds are picking up in Allen, 121 and 75. How's Plano looking later? Yeah, so again, we've got several outflow boundaries draped across the Metroplex. So we'll just watch for new development that's going to pop up potentially. And this right now we have one storm to track, which is obviously the initial squall line. So we'll be tracking this, but I am expecting other development to pop up that you just can't see as of yet, depending on where the the outflow boundaries and mainly the instability. All right, so right now the leading edge, I mean, it does have some lightning strikes with it. You can see some lightning back into Howell and some Whitesboro region, as well as into Gainesville. So we are seeing some lightning associated with it, a little bit stronger as you head up into northeast Texas, those areas across Paris, the New Boston region, getting into Idabel, Oklahoma. And those a little bit, will turn a little bit more severe. Right now, there's no severe thunderstorm warnings for these regions, but we're just kind of getting started, right? So this is the initial stage of this squall line moving southbound. Hey, and McKinney off 380 still have yet to run irrigation in 2024. Yeah, I haven't either. I mean, there's no reason to run the sprinklers. I mean, we've got plenty of rain. I haven't even. Yeah, there's no reason to run the sprinklers. I hadn't even touched it this year. Hey, what kind of life are we living right now? Most miserable spring ever. I mean, yes and no. I mean, we've had a lot of rain. We've had wetter months. We've actually had wetter times. This is definitely one of the top 10s, but we definitely had wetter times for sure. Hey, starting to rain in Blue Ridge right now. So you're just on that first initial batch. All right, so right now we're watching one little complex of storms. Looks like we did have one complex turn severe just in far northwest portions of Tennessee. So there's some activity out there as well. But a couple of mesoscale convective, complexes are moving through. It was really severe as this morning into the Kansas region. It was actually severe when it went through Oklahoma City, and it's as it continued to drop southbound, just left a lot of heavy rain in its wake, and it's continued to move further south, but it has lost its intensity, comparison to what it was this morning. Hey, bring on the rain in DFW. Hey, been raining in Wolf City and growling thunder right now. Yeah, you can see it's trying to push out a little outfall boundary, maybe this little gust front. That's probably the initial stages of some stronger winds associated with this area across Highway 380. That's the initial push of this, squall line, if you will, if you want to call it that. Just a line of thunderstorms, really. A line of non-severe thunderstorms. Hey, loving this cool windy weather at 121 in Stacy. Winds are blowing strong right now. Hey, let me switch gears and look at the big picture here. And I do have my YouTube on here as well, so I want to kind of highlight other areas of the country. So there are right now we just again there's the initial stages of some storms. We've got one system that has turned severe in western Tennessee, and it looks like it's kind of borderline severe, just really for some pockets of larger hail, just borderline quarter-size hail around Union City. But nonetheless, they are experiencing some 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts with that. Nothing terribly too significant out there. Really nothing too terribly significant at the moment. So we are just doing live coverage kind of early on today because we are watching this little squall line. And flash flooding has been a concern as well with these systems because we just all the heavier rain. You can see definitely there's a flood warning already where this convective complex has been raining pretty much a good part of the morning. Yeah, so for those areas around Fort Smith, Arkansas, already has picked up 2 inches of heavy rainfall, and they are expecting another potentially ½ inch. So in a normal world, it wouldn't be that bad, but these areas have been just completely saturated, and all the lakes are full, the creeks are full, the streams are full, and yeah, it doesn't take much to kind of pond on the roadways pretty quickly, especially when you get these rainfall rates at 1.5 to 2 inch, and sometimes upwards to 3 inches per hour in some of these heavier bands. You can just get some blinding torrential rains, and you get that with a very high dew point like you're actually seeing outside. It's very muggy. Let's see, the dew point is 77 at DFW Airport. I was thinking we would get close to 80, so we've been bumping up a little bit, creeping up all day long. So right now it is 77. But that's kind of a level of moisture in the atmosphere. So anything over 70 is kind of considered oppressive. You get in the upper 70s, that is not almost. It's essentially in the 90, 95 percentile. I mean, the highest ever was like 80, 81. So you're getting up there to, near record levels. And so obviously there's a lot of water vapor in the atmosphere. It doesn't take much to wring out the atmosphere like a sponge in that type of situation. Hey, yeah, be careful what you're asking for because, hey, you know how it is around here. All droughts end in floods, and all floods end in droughts. It's not really one way or the other. You either get it all or you get nothing. And we all know La Nina's coming. It just hadn't really kicked in yet. So, typically you are active until through the second half, through the first half of June, and then it typically tries to at least calm down, and you have a kind of a little bit more a pattern shift with the ridge building in. So it is one of those things, once the rain stops, the ridge is going to be building in. It's just going to be hot every day and then very humid. So It's, kind of take your pick. Right now it's humid, but it's still on the cooler side, right? We get these complexes every single day. You get rain. Yeah, obviously you can't warm up in that environment. So the rain stops and the humidity continues, and plus you have all the evaporation. So then it's hot and humid. So so that's the consolation prize once all this rain ends. Hey Victoria, hey, you're welcome. No problem. Glad I'm here for you for some live coverage here. Yeah, nothing terribly too significant. I mean, it's actually not even severe technically, or at least right at the moment. So, but we do have some darkening skies, some heavier rains, some gustier winds, and definitely some lightning associated with it. And it's very slow moving, so it is producing some healthy rainfall totals in those areas that actually have seen the rain. Yeah, so some of these areas across the Red River's already picked up, a half inch to an inch with these kind of slower moving storms. You head towards Roxton, that's about a half inch. Heading over towards Paris, you're closer to 1 inch. So some of these cells have been already been raining for a good half hour to hour, depending on how far south you live. Yeah, I'm a little surprised that nothing's actually building further south. Just a little surprised, especially with this atmosphere. I mean, it's 3:30. Yeah, we do have a chance of tornadoes today. Let me go over that. Uh, there's certain areas that do have a probability. So let's talk about. Yeah, this is the newest update. All right, so right now the main area where we probably have a stronger tornado potential is up here towards where they do have a zone where they are anticipating possibly a severe thunderstorm watch, or likely probably a tornado watch by the time we get into 5 or 6 o'clock. So this area has a 5% probability. It does have an outflow boundary draped across this region. So we're looking at 4 isolated supercells to start to form. So only takes one in this situation. So if one does form and stays discrete, and especially if it moves more of an east southeast trajectory, which they are expected to do, yes, those could turn severe really quickly across this brown shaded area within Memphis, Childress, Elk City, Pampa, back into Vernon, Wichita Falls, and the Lawton, Oklahoma region. And if that supercell does form, that would continue to dive east southeastward through the evening, and that would still leave a boundary where it's not zero. You have a 2% probability of seeing a tornado today within a good part of the metroplex. So it's not zero. It was actually zero yesterday. So at least we have a chance of potentially seeing a tornado today. Yesterday there was actually not a chance. But yes, we are looking at, and this is stuff that actually has not formed yet, because this is relying on these outflow boundaries to form this, initiation. And those are areas that we'll likely see the larger hail as well. So that has the biggest hail producers, and where you see this kind of hatched area, will likely where they have that tornado watch, that's where they could pick up that significant hail. Now, we've seen a lot of significant hail, right? I mean, Texas has been no stranger for a large hail over the last couple of months here. We've had all kinds of quarter, golf ball, tennis, baseball size, softball size, grapefruit size, DVD size. I mean, that one yesterday, I think it broke the state record. I mean, I don't know if you saw the pictures. Yeah, storm chasers caught it backing up at the Panhandle near the canyons there. It was at least 6 inches, maybe 7. Right? He actually compared it next to a pineapple. Really significant. It's in the process of getting certified. Yeah, the state record is 6.4 in Hondo. We had one earlier in Johnson City this year, just a month ago. It was 6.2 inches. So we've seen a lot of significant hail. So I don't think we get quite that big today. But I mean, yes, the atmosphere is still prime up here into the Northwest. But yeah, So it really this severe stuff really relies on the stuff that you don't see yet, right? So what you're seeing is not severe. This is stuff that has actually not formed yet, that is expected to form once we get into the 5 and 6 o'clock time frame up into the northwest, and those will dive southeastward into the evening time frame. So but overall, the main risk for the majority of us will be the higher winds across this region. This is why they do have that slight risk available, really for the same areas that have the slight risk for wind. So it's more of a widespread wind event. And then you do have more of an isolated tornado threat, especially far northwest portions of Oklahoma and the Texas, the northwest of Texas there, and then those will continue to dive, east southeastward through North Texas, East Texas, back into Louisiana, and eventually heading into Arkansas, getting into Jackson, Greenville region. I mean, it doesn't really end there. There's another pocket of instability that's draped across, St. Louis, Springfield. There's also some severe storms. It's already impacting areas into heading towards Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So it's a bigger area. There's also boundaries up here, has some 50-mile-per-hour winds. Some of these have just now turned borderline severe. So that activity up there is just kind of getting going as well. All right, let's go back to current radar here. All right, so you can see this initial band again, just some heavier rains, and if anything, this is kind of falling apart still as it continues to slowly shift east southeast. Hey, keep in mind tornadoes on May 25th in North Texas were not in a hatched risk. Yeah, I mean that's always possible, folks. I mean, just because the Storm Protection Center, they do their best on picking out certain areas that have the greater probabilities, instabilities. We've seen it time and time again. You can't like mark a zone verbatim, just because you're in a 2% or a 5%, you're not going to get some significant storm. I mean, it's definitely, there's outliers out there that it has happened, numerous times. So I mean, gosh, I think we even had that tornado emergency. You could actually argue that it would even actually end any tornado risk. And we had a tornado emergency that ended up with an EF3 140-mile-per-hour tornado. So there are definitely some outliers to these areas for sure. All right, so they just now issued a flash flood possibility. Yeah, main threat today is going to be the significant winds and just the heavy rain. I mean, you can see the slowing, moving nature of these storms have been really slow, right? And so with that slowness, it's going to be continue to dive east, southeast, and of course the saturated soils. And that's why they have these big areas that could see, as this MCS complexes do form, will drop some pretty significant rains in its wake. So they just went ahead and highlighted that area that is under a slight risk for, possibility of excessive rainfall later on tonight, as these storms will continue to dive east southeastward through Texarkana back to the Shreveport region, Camden, El Dorado, Pine Bluff, the Clarksdale region, then to Little Rock. It's a pretty big area up to Jonesboro. Hey, what about Salina right now? Yeah, just you're getting some kind of light to moderate rains moving in across this region. Yeah, it looks actually more ominous than it actually really is, folks. This is just kind of, some heavier rains moving through North Texas right now. Nothing terribly too significant. I'm just really waiting on the isolated stuff to kind of bubble up and form. But yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in to live coverage. You make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you're hitting the like button on my YouTube channel as well as subscribe as well. Yeah, I am doing live coverage on both Facebook and YouTube today. Hey, John, anything to worry about in DFW right now? Yeah, I'm just kind of explaining it as it's going. We're, right now not terribly too concerned about this activity, but it's just kind of the new stuff. You see this outflow boundary that formed out ahead of it. You can see the beginning stages here. You can already see this overturn, right? It's overturning the atmosphere. So that's the first sign of this isolated bubblers south of this squall line. It's the kind of the first sign of these trying to develop in a warm tropical type environment. So we'll start to see a lot more of that, especially as these outflow boundaries get out ahead of the main storm, tapping into that warmer sector further south. The further south they get, the higher the dew points are going to be able to get as well. So they'll have a lot more water vapor to tap into. Hey Ted, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for coming in. Hey, just joined. What time will the storm definitely feel in the outflow here in Allen? Hey Terry, Tasha, and Allen and Colony. Yeah, just some heavier rains. Yeah, pushing through. Melissa right now approaching the McKinney region. Yeah, it looks like it's getting closer to the Highway 380 corridor. A little bit stronger instability as you push further northeast. Definitely some heavier rains pushing through Commerce, back into Leonard, Cooper, Roxton, those areas across Paris, back into Clarksville. All right, so it looks like they actually issued a couple more severe thunderstorm watches. Or that's a potential one. All right, so right now we do have a severe thunderstorm watch for those areas across northeast Texas and to Arkansas. That goes on for another 4 more hours. And they do have an extension to that watch likely coming for those areas across Pine Bluff into Little Rock into Conway. That's going to be more development forming and later into the afternoon hours. Yeah, here's the leading edge of the bigger squall line that came out of Kansas. It predominantly continued to push further southeast than south. So the heavier batch did, in fact, move further into Arkansas, those areas across northeast Texas, and just North Texas is kind of getting the tail end of that, more or less. You can see the squall line as it slowly shifts east, southeast. I mean, it's pretty much crawling. It's not moving very fast. Yeah, so we're just looking at new outflow boundaries, trying to develop new activity as we get deeper into the afternoon. Yeah, I went over some of the areas of concern that I was looking for new development. Those hasn't popped yet. Hey, watching from Germany. Hey, thanks for tuning in from Germany and making sure my friends in Texas and Oklahoma are safe. Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for coming on to from Germany there. Wind speed in Collin County, I mean, I don't know, 25, 30 miles an hour. It's not much. There's not even like a mesoscale discussion on maybe some gustier winds on the initial front. Maybe up to 30, possibly. Right now, it's sustained at 9 miles an hour at the airport. Hey, good job, pal. Rain is calming if you know it's not going to be bad. Yeah, at least right now, this is not very significant, right? We know it's actually not too bad, at least currently at the moment. We've been in a lot more intense times. The only severe thunderstorm watch is areas in northeast Texas and Arkansas. That's because the leading squall line is approaching that area. It is a little bit stronger. It does have some higher wind gusts with it, mainly a wind threat. That's why they actually did, in fact, issue a severe thunderstorm watch for those areas. Some large hail, but it's mainly the winds that could be approaching on a more widespread basis of 60-mile-per-hour wind gust for those areas into Arkansas. Yeah, nothing severe across North Texas or anywhere north of that. It's just some heavier rains. Not even a mesoscale discussion. Not even enough to justify that. We're probably struggling to gust even to 30 miles an hour. But you can see what the outflow is doing. So we're starting to see the first signs of initiation that's forming right in front of this little gust front, outflow boundary, whatever you want to call it. But it's cooler pocket of air running into the warm sector, overturning the atmosphere, and it is overturning it. So yeah, we are seeing some isolated bubblers starting to pop up out ahead of the main line there into south of McKinney, there into the Frisco region, right along Highway 121. Yeah, this is what you look for as stuff starts to fill in. This is what would make it try to fill in. You can see it already trying to fill in, right? It's starting to fill in towards Waters Creek, out towards Parker, towards Lucas. It's not going to take much. This is actually the beginning stages. This is something I was actually looking at. Remember, when a very soupy environment, dew point is 77. I mean, it does not take much to overturn the atmosphere in this environment. So this is going to be quickly overturning, very quickly. Mainly a rain threat, flash flooding threat. Most of these have been the last couple of systems. Hey, why are flights delayed? I don't know. I'm not part of the airport. There's a lot of activity coming and going across the nation. Hey, my husband has canceled 3 times since yesterday. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of times you get backlogs. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not like for current weather technically right now, but you could have delays in other parts of the country. You could have backlogs from other parts of, the previous days. Obviously it's been very active lately. You get canceled and, you get bumped, you get delayed, you get ground stop. All that puts a wrench in the travel plans and gets delayed and rescheduled. So it's a combination of all that, but it's not like current weather. It's not like current weather that's happening in DFW. There's nothing even happening in Love Field or DFW Airport, not a drop of rain or anything. Yeah, it's pretty much just crawling to the southeast there. Hey, what's your guess for the weather for DFW? Should I be good to go to sleep soon? Yeah, I mean, right now there's nothing severe. You don't have anything to worry about. Ain't nothing crazy right now. Hey, I keep losing connection here for some reason. I hope it stays non-severe. Yeah, I mean, we are under a slight risk, for severe storms. It's just because it's not severe now doesn't mean it can't turn later. It's mainly with the new stuff. It's not this stuff. This is eventually going to fizzle out, right? The stuff coming from Oklahoma, this is eventually going to fizzle out. But what we're more concerned about is the new convection, just the new convection. You can definitely see it's pushing out the outflow boundary, overturning the atmosphere, starting to get some higher cloud tops there into Allen, Frisco, McKinney region, right along Independence Parkway, Custer Road, McDermott Road, likely getting some heavier rains right now. Let me swing over to this complex that's coming out of Clarksville. Yeah, raining pretty good. The leading squall line does have some 60 miles, more or less 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts with the leading squall line. Couple of mesoscale discussions. Yeah, 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts, some some pea-sized hail with this leading squall line that's pushing slowly southeast. Going to be approaching Hot Springs shortly, the Murfreesboro region, back into Nashville through New Boston, heading into the Texarkana region. Hey, my garden loves this weather. The front edge of the line is thunderstorm. Hey, Stormy, how are you doing? Thanks for coming on live here. Hey, dang, I need to call my daughter in Frisco. Hey, Ted, I can always depend on you for your jokes. Why shouldn't you fight with a cloud? It will storm out on you. I appreciate all the dad jokes. Hey, I'm in Prosper, looking off my patio directly north. How come the radar shows east, southeast, but the clouds definitely are moving west? The clouds are moving west. That's not a typical direction they would go. Most the jet stream goes from west to east, essentially. Yeah, most activity is moving east, east or southeast. Hey, Gabriella. Hey, it's your birthday. Happy birthday. Thanks for coming on live on your birthday. Are you talking about the Mama Two's clouds that came in after the storm ended? Yeah, that's a pretty normal thing for those clouds to form after a storm. It's also always cool to look at. Those are my funnest clouds. Hey, coming down hard right now in Blue Ridge. Yeah, so up here towards Leonard, there's Blue Ridge. Yeah, Blue Ridge. You happen to right be under that larger cell, deeper reds, some oranges mixed in there. Yeah, some heavier rains are pushing into the Melissa region. Yeah, it's overturning pretty good now. Some heavier rains are moving to the Allen area. Yeah, so that gust front is really turning over the atmosphere fairly significant. Again, this is all new stuff that's just now popping up. Complements of the outflow boundary out ahead of it. So the first one's fizzling out, and the second one is going to likely put a whole swath across the Metroplex here. Yeah, it's overturning fairly quickly now. It's not going to take long. This whole area is going to be lit up. Hey, McKinney is getting pounded right now. It just depends on where you are in McKinney. Obviously on the north side right now, getting some heavier rains. And then, of course, this new batch is formed just south of you, Fairview, back into Allen, Waters Creek. Yeah, just overturning really quickly now. This is cool to watch. Right? Look at the time. That was 3:48. So 3:38. This all happened in the last 20 minutes. You basically went from nothing, and then boom, outflow boundary moved through, overturned the atmosphere. Then you have convection on the backside. Yeah, raining pretty good over Lake Lavon right now through Highway 75, 121. Yeah, it's all forming right along the boundary. So now the heavier rains have pushed south into Cooper, into Commerce, back into Bogota region, as well as into Clarksville. Yeah, let me zoom up towards Wisconsin real quick. We do have several cells that are severe warned. Yeah, this first cell is this is in the state of Wisconsin now. Some couple borderline severe storms. This is also mainly kind of a wind threat up here. We've had some 50-mile-per-hour wind gust so far. Some tree damage, it appears. That's really where only the severe stuff is right now, and that's kind of just borderline severe at the moment. Mainly a couple mesoscale discussions, some 50-mile-per-hour wind gust. Definitely some pockets of heavier rains as these continue to move eastbound. And they've also just implemented a flash flooding possibility, little mesoscale discussion. So you can see it's mainly a heavy rain threat today, folks. And there are going to be possible some severe storms on the isolated natures. And we'll definitely be looking out for this area up here into the northwest. Vernon. Yeah, right now we're seeing some initiation. So this is the storm. This is the area I'm mainly concerned about for the most significant storms today. And if these do form, they will continue to move east to southeast, and those will head into the Metroplex if they do form. So those are the ones that are concerning. Hey, have to drive from Prosper to Plano in 20 minutes for a doctor's appointment. Yeah, go for it. It's totally fine. It's just some rain out there. All right, so it looks like the back half of that system has actually moved through Gainesville, Sherman, back through Bonham, pretty much almost done through Paris now. That first initial wave of instability. I still haven't gotten anything at my house yet. How's Little Elm right now? You're probably getting close. This outflow boundary is probably going to be forming, some showers and thunderstorms. You're likely seeing maybe some light rain trying to mix in there. But this whole convection has blown up in the last 10 minutes now. So this is really filling in fairly quickly now. Yeah, so we're seeing the first round, the first wave coming in from Oklahoma, still continue to drop southbound. Now it's merging with the new convective, complex that was, forming off the outflow boundary. Yeah, let me zoom it out here because none of this stuff is right now even severe, even in Oklahoma, even in Arkansas. But nonetheless, some stronger wind gusts for those back through DeQueen, through Murfreesboro, through the Mount Ida region. That's all heading towards Mount Hot Springs region. Russellville. That's eventually going to make it to Little Rock. We are expecting this line right here to get a little bit stronger as it continues to move further southeast. We just have not seen that yet. The initial line is still producing some 50-mile-per-hour wind gust at times and some pea-sized hail. Nothing too significant there. There is some instability around Union City. We did have a severe thunderstorm warning earlier that just happened to be, right at the borderline of turning severe, but didn't last long. Now we just have the mesoscale discussion on it. We're back down to the little bit less 50-mile-per-hour winds, some nickel-sized hail. But you can see that area is forming right along the warm front. That convection is right along the warm front there. And that's likely going to be building southbound as well. So there's definitely areas of instability that's forming along boundaries and cold fronts and warm fronts today. Hey, Ryan, spoke too soon. Big fat drops. Yeah, looks like it's coming down pretty good now in the city of Fairview. Raining pretty good in Lowry Crossing, the Lucas region, Allen. There in McKinney, south of downtown there. All right, it's starting to rain now. I can hear it. Yeah, seriously pouring down now in McKinney. Hey, I just want to make note. It's 4 o'clock. I said after 4 o'clock. It's 4:05. There you go. That was yesterday's forecast. After 4 o'clock. All right. So, hey, it's storming right now in South McKinney. Yeah, approaching Denton. So that pocket of heavy rains moving out of Gunner, moving into Pilot Point, Celeste. Salina, Aubrey, the Sanger region. Yeah, this whole line is kind of merging with that outflow boundary now, so you really can't even tell. You really can't even tell the difference of the two. But the outflow boundary is still continuing to push further south, entering. These are areas that could likely get some storm initiation around New Fairview, the Justin area, heading towards Flower Mound, Capel, Valley Ranch. That's going to be likely the next area where you're likely going to see some sort of storm initiation along the outflow boundary. And this one is still expanding as well. Now it includes those areas into the Colony, into Little Elm, extending all the way to Oak Point as well. The leading edge has reached Greenville. So that's about to cross over Interstate 30 there off into Greenville, coming out of Commerce, heading into Sulphur Springs. This is pushing into the Mount Vernon area. Also, New Boston, back into Texarkana, DeQueen. That's the leading edge of the initial push of storms. Hey, I'm in Prosper. Here we go again. I know. Didn't we just do this yesterday? This is almost the same time, right? It was yeah. We came on live around 4:30 yesterday. Yeah, it's about the same time, just about the same time. Not as intense as it was yesterday, at least right now. But nonetheless, this is the third day in a row we've had storm initiation. All right, let's head back up to yeah, we're not really seeing anything up here yet. One little cell by Woodward. Yeah, they were actually expecting it between 5 and 6 o'clock, so we're probably still an hour away. Right now, it's got a 60% probability they are going to be issuing a watch. So we'll see if they're able to pull the trigger on that. Hey, I'm trying to stay positive now and think that these storms are my free car wash. Hey, I hear you. It's rained a lot. I mean, there's no question. I got 12 inches this month or last month in May, and I've already got over 2 inches. Probably more than that. Um, Yeah, 2.15 for the month so far. And that's obviously what, 2 days? Yeah, 2.15 in 2 days after 12 inches in May. So that's 14 inches essentially in the last 5 weeks. So that's a lot of rain. Yeah, Little Elm, Corinth, back into Frisco. For those areas into Collin County, this isn't severe. It's not even mesoscale discussion on it, but nonetheless, you are getting some heavier rains that push in right along Highway 75 there through McKinney, Fairview, Allen, Plano, back into Murphy. That just extends through Princeton, back into Farmersville, extended into the Cattle Mills area, as well as into Greenville. Yeah, there's no hail in this situation right now. It's not even severe. I mean, that's not even pea-size hail, folks. All right, let's look at some of these cloud tops and see if they are getting a little bit stronger. All right, so it looks like the highest cloud top we can find right now is within actually McKinney, Fairview, 45,000, and it's definitely tall. It's not too significant. Looks like it's a little bit taller up here in 46,000, 47,000. Yeah, really, I like to look for around 50,000. You get to 50,000, it's going to turn severe. It's going to turn severe. Typically. Yeah, so here's some 53,000 foot cloud tops just south of Paris, out of the Cooper region, Bogota. These are areas that will likely turn severe. That's 54,000. And remember, the taller they get, the more east-southeast trajectory they get, and the likelihood of the larger hail they get. So, and then the likelihood of their rotating. Yeah, these are all crucial elements. That's why we always look at the atmosphere from the top down. We always take each thunderstorm complex and look at it top down. So that way you can determine what happens in each layer of the atmosphere. All right, pretty much that squall line that came through Oklahoma is pretty much non-existent now. It's all kind of merged with the outflow boundary. It's all become one, essentially. Hey there, June just got started, and it looks like we'll have more severe weather in the Ohio Valley this month, especially late June. Yeah, I mean, eventually everything is going to push further north. Yeah, the Ohio Valley is going to be more of a target. Once you have more ridging further south, everything's got to have to push further north. So I would definitely say that's a greater probability, especially in the second half of June. I know it seems like a lot of the same areas continue to get hit and hit and hit time and time again, which is true. But once the pattern shifts, a lot of the same areas will get hit, and the same areas that got hit will be under a ridge, and it's going to seem impossible to have any storms. So it is one of those things. Once the pattern shifts, then a certain area is going to be kind of in a more favored bullseye. And yes, it's going to be more likely, up across the upper Midwest. All right, so we're still watching some, light to moderate rain, some heavier rains at times, still continue to slowly shift south. We did have an outflow boundary that formed earlier. New convection pulled further south into Plano, Allen, heading into Carrollton now, pushing a little bit further in the Metroplex. It looks like it just started raining. Hey, Kyle. Hey, yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, so right now we're getting some scattered rain just on an outflow boundary out towards the Justin region. And let me highlight Justin for you. All right, so here's that. I pinned it for you. All right, so here is the Justin region. So you're fairly clear now, but we do have some outflow boundaries that pushed out ahead of the front. So right where what we're really looking for is just kind of more scattered activity for this afternoon. We're really keeping our eyes up to the northwest. This is the main concern. This is often another outflow boundary, Justin, that will form more storm initiation, likely between 5 and 6 o'clock. These are the ones that I'm more concerned about, turning severe, turning actually potentially tornadic as well with the biggest hail. If we do track one supercell, once it forms, those are going to continue likely pushing east southeast. And if they do, they will push in more into the metroplex. So it's all one of those things that has not formed yet. And if they do form, they will be moving east southeast, and they will likely impact, Tarrant County, Denton County, and that would include the Justin region potentially, later in the evening. Again, it's just one step at a time. These are stuff that actually hasn't even formed yet, but that's something that we're kind of looking out for, as we get deeper into the evening. And again, it's just one of those things, depending on what we get tonight. If the complex is really strong, like we've seen a lot lately, if it is strong, that will, suppress the activity for tomorrow, because we do have, or even later on tonight, there's another squall line that some models have it pushing through after midnight. It's one of those things, just like what happened yesterday. So yesterday's activity was a lot, right? With just a lot of areas got 1 to 3 inches of rain, pretty much wiped out the atmosphere. Right now, it hadn't been too bad, right? It has not been too bad. So it is one of those things what determines from one system will determine the next one. So if this one's not as significant and it kind of just peters out, then a greater probability you get the overnight storms and the overnight. If you get the stuff from the northwest around Wichita Falls that does form with those supercells and they do drape across the metroplex, then that will wipe out the atmosphere and likely not have any development into the overnight hours. So it is kind of one of those things that we have to just watch one complex to the next. So the first one we were watching was that complex that came from Kansas that went through Oklahoma, that now feeling the effects in North Texas on a much smaller scale, just because there's not severe and it just some light to moderate rain. And then we just had an outflow boundary push out ahead of that. So we're starting to get new initiation that formed along the outflow boundary. And then we'll be watching areas from the northwest, see if we see any supercell development starting to form in this area. Right now, we do have a potential watch, 60% probability. This does become a watch between now and 6 o'clock. So it's only 4:18 right now. Hey, raining pretty good in East Plano, but very low rumbles of thunder, if any. My dog's not even reacting to it. Yeah, it's not bad. Considering what we've been through lately, this is definitely nothing. I mean, this first batch won't hit Houston. It just really depends on, the second batch on, if it forms on, on the outflow boundary. All right, so it looks like the heavier rains are pretty much locked over Frisco, McKinney right now, pouring in downtown McKinney. Kind of zoom in here. You can actually zoom into some of the street levels. Lake Forest, Virginia Parkway, Hardin, Virginia Parkway, Jordan Road. All those areas right along Virginia Parkways getting a pretty good soaking right now through Custer, through Coit Road. Yeah, further north into Prosper, lighter amounts as you swing further north into Salina. Yeah, so all that happened earlier is pushed further south. Now back in more into Denton and Collin County, into Hunt County. Hey, peaks of sun now in Salina. Yeah, I believe it. I mean, there's really nothing else. There's nothing behind it. There's nothing north of you. Yeah, let's swing back up to Wisconsin. There are several warnings. Heading up towards Madison. There's see Plateville. There's a storm right along Mineral Point. This one's right at borderline criteria. Mainly a heavy rain threat, really. There are several warnings, but these are right at borderline. Maybe just these are mainly more of a wind threat than anything. Does have some nickel size hail with it. But these continue to push, eastbound. They do have a discussion of flash flood possibilities as a more widespread rain event. So it's not like a outbreak or anything like that. Today is mainly a heavy wind and a a widespread rain event, essentially. The only concern for tornadoes today would be up here across the northwest portions. This is Perryton, Pampa, Memphis, Childress, Paducah, down to Altus, Vernon, Wichita Falls. This is the area of concern. A stronger outflow boundary, a lot more rotation in the atmosphere. Definitely a lot of instability. The Cape values are extreme today, folks, 5 and 6,000. So yes, if a supercell starts to form in this area, it will quickly turn severe, and it's likely going to be significant of a very large hail, and they will be rotating. But right now, there's nothing in that area, so we'll continue to watch. All right, so that initial band, that initial push has pushed a little bit further south, now impacting Louisville, Flower Mound, back in Highland Village in the Corinth region, the Colony, Frisco. I appreciate everyone tuning in for live coverage, folks. You should be watching me from YouTube as well as into Facebook. So if you're watching on one platform, head to my YouTube channel and be sure to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. I put out daily content on that channel on a nationwide basis, pretty much every single day. But thanks for tuning in to live coverage. Yeah, we just came on live today. There's several areas that have some heavier rains. The main concern today are going to be, gustier winds and some heavier rains. And we'll watch for that isolated tornado threat potentially by 5 or 6 o'clock. Hey, pouring right now in Prosper and Salina. Yeah, you're probably right underneath this zone right here, maybe First Street, Preston Road, Coleman, University Park. University Drive, La Cima Boulevard. Yeah, those areas are likely getting some heavier rains right now through Preston and 380. Yeah, if anything, this is actually pushing a little bit further north. With this outflow boundary, it's expanding, right? It's just kind of expanding in coverage. Yeah, pouring right now, and look, it's actually has more lightning strikes associated with it. So yes, the outflow instability is stronger. So the stuff that formed off the outflow boundary has actually turned a little bit higher wind gusts with it, and definitely some more lightning strikes. So definitely a little bit more instability in the atmosphere with that one. All right, so that's pushing through Greenville as well as in the Commerce region, back into Sulphur Springs, approaching the Mount Vernon area into Mount Pleasant. All right. So yes, some heavier rains are pushing through Interstate 35, right around Loop 288 there, extending into the Decatur area. Yeah, that outflow boundary is pushing further south, now south of Flower Mound. Yeah, so a lot of convection forming right over the Metroplex. This is exactly what I thought was going to happen with that little initial push. The leading edge had an outflow boundary. This is exactly what was what's happening. So we're starting to see the overturn of the atmosphere right over the Metroplex. This area is just prime right now. Yeah, so now that leading edge is pushed south of, looks like a Highway 190 there, right around the toll road. That's heading towards Garland, Plano, coming out of Flower Mound. Hey, David, I had 4 apple trees and 8 pecan trees that grew, but I couldn't grow a cherry tree. I finally found out that they can't fertilize it one and it kills it. All right, so now I'm actually getting some heavier rains pushing through now. Yeah, it's starting to pour. Yeah, a lot more darker reds is starting to fill in right across the Metroplex, folks. This is all filling in fairly nicely. Look at the outflow boundary continue to push further south with new instability now pushing into Cypress Waters, south of Capel. Yeah, the outflow boundary is still working its magic. Hey, what a year. Solar eclipse, northern lights, tornado, and crazy weather all viewed from my house. Yeah, I mean, same with me. Same with me. I mean, yeah, I saw the northern lights myself. I saw the solar eclipse right from my backyard. I haven't like witnessed a tornado, but I've actually had tornadoes. That EF3 was only about 5 miles from my house. Yeah, pretty spectacular year. It has not been uneventful, that is for sure. Hey, I appreciate the donation. Greatly appreciate it. Hey, Snowy's good to see you on here. Thanks for tuning into the live coverage. Thanks for all your help. Hey, Kay, pouring now in the Carrollton region. Pouring in the Carrollton region. So, yes, if you're just now tuning in, we've been watching this outflow boundary push in from Oklahoma. And that one kind of fizzled out, but more importantly, it produced another outflow boundary to keep this one alive. So now we're relying on that outflow boundary, and it is pretty much kind of blown up really in the last 20 minutes. A lot of convection, really overturned. And so, yes, all that convection formed right within that new boundary that pushed further south. And that's allowing this system to push further south now into Garland now. So it's really expanding pretty nicely, pushing into Centerville, heading out towards Aldelia. This is North Lake Highlands area. That's actually pushing into the Farmers Branch area, Carrollton, Addison, right just north of 635 now. Yeah, that outflow boundary is going to continue to push, and it's likely going to be encompassing pretty much the entire Metroplex with heavy rain. It's really going to fill in pretty nicely. And you can get a lot of flash flooding, folks. I mean, this is why they have kind of a significant, flash flooding. So this is an area that could see rainfall rates of anywhere from 1 to 3 inches per hour in some of these ice-headed areas. You get these to train over the same areas for an extended period of time. Yeah, you could lay down. Basically, we've had this remnant MCV just been draped across the Metroplex for a good part of several days. And kind of the same deal. We have daytime initiation. We've got daytime heating, outflow boundaries, and with the combination of these mesoscale convective vortex systems and tapping into some higher instability, tapping into the higher water vapor content, the high dew points, and the 90 percentile. All that is a perfect combination for very heavy rain, moving across pretty much the entire heart of the Metroplex. Hey, yesterday near Sherman, I saw some crazy cool clouds, and later I saw some Mama Two's clouds. Yeah, those are my favorite. I actually took a picture of my front yard there with it in the background. I have a lot of pictures on my Facebook page of them. Hey, pouring right now in far north Dallas. Yeah, it's always cool to watch the atmosphere overturn right before your eyes. We've been watching this when nothing was basically over the Metroplex, over Denton and Collin County. It was pretty bare when we started live coverage. And yeah, now it is quickly overturned. That's what I was saying. We just have to wait. We have to be patient. I know there's nothing there, but it will likely be there based on outflow boundaries. So we saw the first one. There's still two more that has not been activated. So this is only the first outflow boundary that has now hit initiation. Yeah, but still that convective complex is still continue to push. I'm not really seeing any signs of outflow boundaries pushing out ahead of this line. So it's just mainly the squall line coming through with borderline. I would not even say they're actually severe. There's actually technically nothing severe with this line right now, even though we do have a watch. But nonetheless, that watch, that line of convection is through Mount Pleasant, about towards the Texarkana region, through Hope, Arkansas, heading towards Hot Springs. That's eventually going to head towards Conway into Little Rock. Yeah, this would be really significant if the winds were a lot higher, but they're just not, because we've got a pretty long squall line, and you can actually see it's bowing. It's actually kind of bowing out, and typically you would have higher wind gust out of that, but it's just not there. Yeah, it's mainly these boundaries. Here's another one towards the Union City region. These have been very slow movers. It did actually have some quarter size hail when this was severe earlier, about 45 minutes ago. Now that has lost its severity and more or less just a heavy rain threat moving through. And then we still have some of those areas still kind of borderline severe up here into Wisconsin. And this is also a heavier rain threat moving across that region through Madison. Pretty good dousing into southern Wisconsin there, heading towards Milwaukee. Yep. Yeah, so compliments of that outflow boundary has really ballooned up activity across Denton and Collin County. That is extending now into Dallas County, portions of Dallas County. Hey, Weather on the Go. What's up, buddy? Hey, thanks for coming on to the live coverage. Appreciate you tuning in. Good afternoon. Hey, windy in Denton, no rain yet? Yeah, probably a matter of time before it starts raining in Denton. We just saw that outflow boundary overturn the atmosphere over the last 20 minutes. So, yeah, that first wave of convection has pretty much been absorbed with the outflow boundary now. You really can't tell the difference, but you can definitely see the outflow boundary is still pushing further south. So that continues to push new development further south as well. So we'll start to continue to push through Bedford, Irving, eventually likely Arlington. All brand new convection will continue to push further south. So eventually, we're probably going to get most of the Metroplex covered in some heavier rains and some gustier winds. And then we'll be watching from the northwest here. It's 4:30. So we are expecting a potential severe watch in about another hour for this area. This is our second outflow boundary that we'll be looking out for. The third one is actually in West Texas. So this right now, this is the first one that got activated closer into the Metroplex. Hey, light rain right now on Lake Islands. Hey, the Toon Guy. Good to see you on here. Yeah, heavy rain right now, Teresa, in Plano, some thunder. Yeah, I'm just hearing some rumbles of thunder. Got about a 1/1500th of an inch so far. Hadn't really been raining that long in my house. Hey, heavy rain right now, Vicky and Garland. Yep, so you're getting that initial push now. So now that is pushed into the Garland region, right over 78, maybe First Street, Walnut Street, those areas within downtown Garland, getting some heavier rains. That's pushing into Centerville now, heading towards the Kingsley Road area, Broadway Boulevard. Yeah, all this continues to push further south. Complements of the outflow boundary continue to overturn the atmosphere ahead of the system. Now those have pushed south of Interstate 30 now, heading to the Lone Oak area, Cumbie, Campbell, heading into Como eventually, Mount Vernon, Mount Pleasant. Yeah, this initial push still is moving southeast and about 50, moving southeast at 30 miles an hour. Has some 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts, some pea-sized hail. Yeah, it's just one step lower than a severe thunderstorm warning. Just not quite there. Yeah, even the severe thunderstorm warnings have been kind of borderline severe. So far, nothing fairly significant on at least the severe front. It's mainly been a heavy rain threat. Hey, we just got power back on yesterday, crossing our fingers. It's more rain and less wind. Yeah, I hope so, Vicky. Hope the power stays on. I know a lot of people in Dallas have been out since Tuesday still. There was like 10,000 customers still this morning, 5 days in a row. They promised it would restore today, so hopefully that's the case. And hopefully these winds aren't that bad. It's mainly going to determine if this stuff forms in the Northwest this afternoon. That's my main concern. But so yes, we'll be watching for any initiations for this second boundary. So we highlighted it, once it overturned right there along 121. That was the initial push. And that's really all it took. That was only about 25 minutes ago. And now it's produced all this activity just solely on the outflow boundary. All this is like brand new convection, complements of the outflow boundary. Hey, I'm over this weather. I get it. We got a couple more weeks. Hang in there. Hey, Ruth. Hey, Ruth. We that booming out. Allen was pretty gnarly. Hey, not sure why my plane even pushed back, but now stuck on the runway, going nowhere. Yeah, that is the worst. I hate that for you. Nothing worse than being on the plane, being on the runway, and you just not going anywhere. Of course, they won't let you off. Yeah, you just kind of have to be patient, out ahead of a longer flight. But yes, we are getting that instability pushing into the airport. So this is DFW, right? So all this is pushing further south. And then of course even Love Field as well. So eventually this is going to push into Love Field. It's only a matter of time. It's probably just 10 minutes away. You're not that far actually. Hey, winds are picking up here in Longview. Yeah, so out here in East Texas, probably getting that first initial push before the storms arrive in your area. Hey, I just stopped at a gas station before getting into Texarkana. Strong winds and rain. Electric went out at my gas station while sitting here heading to Little Rock. Hopefully this will pass soon. Yeah, so if you're in Texarkana and you're heading to Little Rock, yeah, I mean, it's all kind of heading. Yeah, you're going to be probably raining the entire time almost. Yeah, so here's the whole line. Yeah, here's Texarkana. Yeah, it's pretty much then approaching Little Rock, but not much behind it. So you're likely going to get some rain as you continue moving out of Texarkana through Hope, Arkansas. And probably by the time you get to Arkadelphia, those areas, the rain will probably be past you by then. So you probably have a good another 50 to 75 miles of rain, some lightning, some heavier rains move through. And it was probably going to be past Hot Springs. By the time you get to Little Rock, it should be. Of course, that's without any outflow boundaries that may form. So, but either way, it's going to be a rainy drive. Hey, is Carrollton, Texas going to get bad tornadoes today? No, Molly. Yeah, it's mainly just a heavy rain threat right now, light to moderate rains. Yeah, nothing severe across the Metroplex right now. Hey, will this storm reduce severity from the west? Well, right now there's nothing from the west. I mean, again, this is just the first initial push. It hasn't been really that bad. So let's play one system at a time. Right now, the main concern is this area. So once we have new convection formed, then we can track it. But once we can all these are all hypotheticals, based on outflow boundaries and stuff may form, but unless it forms, it's kind of difficult to track, right? So we know we had an outflow boundary move through a good part of the Metroplex, and it's still producing outflow boundaries. You can track that, right? With a greater probability, there's going to be storm initiation pushing into Bedford, Irving, Arlington, Fort Worth because of this outflow boundary. That's going to be a likelihood when we come back 45 minutes from now. But right now, nothing has actually formed up here and out west. Hey, how does it look in Frisco, Texas? Yeah, again, just gustier winds at times. You can kind of zoom into Frisco here. Yeah, there's the tollway. There's Preston Road. Yeah, just some light to moderate rain right now. Some heavier rains are pushing in from the south. Let's how severe is it going to be in Decatur? Well, right now, nothing is severe. Yeah, nothing severe across the Metroplex. We just have heavier rains push through. Hey, is it possible that the new developed storm moves hard south or north and kind of misses the DFW area? No, not really. These are pretty slow movers. These are mainly heavy rainmakers. I don't really see it missing it because the outflow boundary continues to push further south. So this is all extending further south, but again, it's just rain. Nothing terribly to be concerned about. Hey, is Salina not going to get any more storms the rest of the day? Well, again, it's all contingent if this storm forms northwest, right? So this is the first round. This would be the second round, and then you have the stuff out west. This is just the initial stage. So it's one thing at a time. Yeah, if this forms, this will likely move east southeast. If this forms, this will likely move east. Yeah, it's only 4 o'clock. I swear the weather can channel app is made to mess with your mind. That's what I said. I mean, it's tough to track something. I mean, again, this is an environment. It's based on outflow boundaries, and it gets very difficult. You can't look at a model and say, "Hey, this is going to happen in 6 hours from now." This is just we're just not in that environment right now. So that's why I'm like, you can't really get ahead of yourself too much in this environment. You have to rely once a storm forms, once it forms off an outflow boundary, we can say, hey, we got greater probabilities this is going to happen. If this atmosphere overturns up here, and then boom, we're going to be looking at for supercells likely turning severe fairly quickly, right? And those are going to move in east southeast. So yeah, we just have to watch and wait until we see the first signs of initiation, and then we can track it. Hey, there are always two mindsets in storms: hoping it goes crazy and praying it goes away. Hey, real action is going to be tomorrow. Nothing impressive today. A pretty good rains here in Rockwall. Yeah, it's starting to pick up pretty good at my house now. Starting to hear the big heavy rain. Hey, I kind of like the June and May rains. I mean, this is typically when you get the tropical type rains, the really big downpours, which is really difficult to do any other time of year. You just don't have the water content in the atmosphere to be able to do it. All right, so that squall lines continue to push, now approaching the Conway area into Arkansas. That's eventually going to make it over to Mayflower towards Little Rock. This initial squall line does have some 50-mile-per-hour winds with it. Some pocket change hail moving through Arkadelphia, Prescott into Hope, Arkansas, back through Texarkana. But we do have the severe watch that does extend all the way to Shreveport for the next 3 hours. Does include Tyler, Monroe, Pine Bluff. But you can see there's definitely certain areas that have the probability for heavier rains and more significant flooding. Most areas are completely saturated. All right, so it looks like we do, in fact, have the watch. We have the brand new severe thunderstorm watch. This is an area that they just issued the watch. Okay, so this is brand new severe thunderstorm watch for areas northwest. So they just now issued it between now and for the next 6 hours. So this is the second area, right? So this is the second area that we've been talking about. This is the second outflow boundary. And these are the storms that are likely going to be more severe, a lot more concerning down towards Woodward, Elk City, Memphis, the Childress area, Altus, back into Paducah, Vernon, Wichita Falls, through Seymour. When these do form, they're going to be probably supercellular. They're going to be turning severe fairly quickly. This atmosphere is pretty prime. You got instability, Cape values 5,000, 6,000 range. That's pretty much in the extreme category, combined with the high dew points and the overturning of the outflow boundary. Then you are going to be seeing some supercell initiation. We're likely going to get cloud tops over the 60,000 foot range across this region. And it's only going to take one, right? You only really need one supercell, and it's going to be, and that could be more of a long track mover, dumping some pretty significant hail in its wake. It would likely rotate for an extended period of time. So, yeah, pretty concerning. They just now issued the watch, so it's just something to watch out for right now. Kind of early on because it still doesn't even actually expire until 11 o'clock this evening. So 11 o'clock this evening. But right now, there's no storms at all in that area. It's just an area to watch currently, for the next 6 hours. But it does, in fact, have the most significant tornado threat across this region and that severe thunderstorm watch. All right, so yes, so here it is, brand new flood warning for these areas that just been kind of seeing the rain over the last hour or two. Hadn't been really moving very fast. This is for Delta, Hopkins, Hunt, and Rains County. So this area of convection has been kind of sitting there for a good bit of time now. It's already dropped about 1 to 2 inches of rain and some very saturated soils. They are expecting a possibility of another 1 to 2 inches of rain. So we do have flash flood warnings across this region. So it does include Greenville, Sulphur Springs, the Commerce area, Royce City, Farmersville, Cooper, West Tawakoni, Wolf City, down there in Quinlan, Caddo Mills, Emory, East Tawakoni, Point Celeste, Cumbie, Como, Campbell, Hawk Cove, as well as Brashear and Lake Sulphur Springs. So those areas are under the flash flood warning for between now and 7:30 time frame. I've already seen about an inch or two of rainfall, and we are expecting potentially another inch or two as these kind of train over the same place. Yeah, and if anything, if this does keep up, well, they might actually issue one for Collin County as well. If the grounds weren't saturated, it would take a lot more before they issue flood warnings like this, but it doesn't take much in this environment. The ground is completely saturated, so it doesn't take long to kind of rise up in the roadways. And AJ, we talked about the new watch that issued. Hey, is that green line a set of outflow boundaries? No, the green line is just of an area where they do have, potential flash flooding. Yeah, that's still there. That was earlier, so they probably can go ahead and take that away. That was a discussion that came out at 12:30, about 4 hours ago. That was the convection at the time. It was in Oklahoma City. But now that it's pushed through, so the green light, this actually can probably go away. I can take this off so you won't actually see it. Hey, what's it looking like in Western Tennessee? Yeah, right now we just have a couple mesoscale discussions. There's no severe thunderstorms anywhere, but we do have some higher wind gusts within this region. We did have one warned area across Union City that did produce some quarter-size hail out that region, but now that has subsided, has weakened. Now it's become more of a wind and heavy rain threat moving through. Yeah, right along that warm front there. You can see it's pushing in through a pretty good cell right over Nashville there and downtown Nashville. Coming out of Dixon, Clarksville. Yeah, these are just mainly some heavier rains that are still bubbling up right along that warm front. Yep, thunderstorms in DFW now. Oh, looks like to me it did reach 79. It looks like the dew point did spike to 79 there in DFW. Yeah, that's really significant, guys. That's basically right there about the 97 percentile Now it's come back down because we do have a shower that moved through. They are getting some gustier winds, just to kind of give you an idea. At the airport, they're getting 30 mile per hour wind gusts. So sustained at 21, 30 mile per hour wind gust at the airport. Yeah, so just like I was telling you earlier, yeah, that outflow boundaries continue to push further south. We're starting to see the overturn of the atmosphere south of Grapevine there, back into the Euless area now. This continues to push further south, heading towards Arlington. So it's eventually going to cover up pretty much the entire Metroplex here shortly. Yeah, it's starting to overturn again towards Justin. We had one come on earlier. He was talking about Justin. So yeah, you're getting some heavier rains moving back into your region as it continues to fill in on the backside. Hey, anything? My weather app doesn't show any tornado warnings. We hate tornadoes. Yeah, there's definitely no tornado warnings. In fact, this is our first severe thunderstorm warning for Arkansas. It's kind of like borderline, really. So winds are increasing. The winds are increasing coming out of Texarkana through Hope, through the Prescott region, the city of Perryton. You can see the more significant, deeper reds. Has a little bit more instability to work with. This area is under a severe thunderstorm watch. So we are seeing our first severe thunderstorm warning for this area, and it's mainly wind. It's mainly for some borderline 60 mile per hour winds moving through Texarkana, Hope, Arkansas, Prescott areas, those areas into Arkadelphia. Yeah, that will shift through Garland, Louisville. Yeah, this is in the city. This is in Arkansas, folks. Hey, pretty sure lightning just blew something up in Allen. That was the scariest thing I've ever seen or heard. Hey, Carl. So you got a pretty good lightning strike in Allen. Yeah, so you are got some you do have some lightning strikes on the east side of 75. Let's see, right near South Greenville, mainly along Allen Heights Drive. Yeah, but definitely some heavier rains in that area. Hey, Jen, thanks for coming on live with me. Yeah, I'm charging my phone right now because I fully expect to lose power. Yeah, definitely charge your phones. I got mine charged. It's actually 100%. Yeah, I'm no longer on the hospital grid. So they built a new neighborhood pretty close, and so they switched. They switched. So no, I'm no longer on the hospital grid anymore. So my power flickers more now that they switched me. It hadn't been too bad here, so hopefully the power doesn't go out here. It's always worse when it flickers because you got to reset everything. Hey, I'm in Allen on the east side. When do you think this will blow through? Yeah, it's all forming across the outflow boundary, and it's all kind of just continue to form across the same areas. Yeah, this is just the first wave of instability. Oh, here we go. All right, we got our first little storm in our warned area, folks. It's not severe, but it's still something. This is our first initiation here. All right, let me put the watch off. I know it doesn't seem like much, but that's actually fairly significant. This is the area I'm morely concerned about. This is likely the first initiation of just now kind of getting going now. Yeah, this is that second outflow boundary we talked about. Right now, it just has some 50 to 55-mile-per-hour winds moving southeast at 20. So it is moving southeast already. That's significant, guys. So these are the ones I'm going to be concerned about this afternoon. Turning severe, supercellular, tornadic, very large hail. It's already moving southeast, so it already has that trajectory. So we'll be watching this area big time. Watching to see if these cloud tops, once they reach 50,000, it's not going to take much, I can promise you. Yeah, we're already almost there. That's 46,000. That's 46,000 feet outside of Perrington. Yep, 5 o'clock, man. This has been right on the dot. This has been definitely right on the dot with these storms. Everything's playing out exactly as planned. Hey, will the watch that just dropped in Vernon move towards DFW? Yeah, it's potentially. So it's just one of those things. If we see more supercells, these are going to be moving southeast. So they are going to be pretty significant. So yes, once we start to see more and more of these supercells, and if we especially if we get these 60,000-foot cloud tops, they will be moving into the DFW Metroplex. Hey, do you think a tornado watch will be issued for us? Again, it just really depends on these cells. They're just now kind of getting going. They don't even have a tornado watch for the area that does have the probability for tornadoes today. So, again, it's just we're going to be watching this this activity across the the northwest area out towards Perrington. Hey, can the west cells turn into a squall line? I mean, yeah, potentially, but they haven't formed yet. You really gotta wait for something to form to be able to track it. It's kind of really all hypotheticals. Just because a model says it's going to form doesn't mean it's going to form. But yes, West Texas would be the third area of the outflow boundary. That would be the third area where I'm going to be looking for activity. Hey, what does a squall line mean? It just means a line of thunderstorms. That's basically all it means. It just means a series of thunderstorms that are congealed together that form a squall line. And if they start bowing out, then they form a little bit higher winds. But all it is a complex of storms that form into a line of storms that often referred to as a squall line. Squall lines can be mainly wind producers. They can have some tornadoes, on the leading edge, but they're mainly high wind producers. Hey, if they were to form, what time in DFW? Yeah, I mean, the watch goes until 11 o'clock. I mean, the watch in the Northwest goes until 11 o'clock tonight. So, I mean, it could be later this evening. It could be in the overnight. Yeah, it's not going to be anytime soon. Yeah, this is kind of like round one, if you will. You have round two from the Northwest. You've got round three potentially from the West, and maybe not all three rounds hit. But yeah, this is the first initial wave of the outflow boundary that's more or less overturned the atmosphere. Not a severe threat, mainly just a heavy rain threat. But you can definitely see the push further south. Now that is pushed through Springtown, Azle, Pelican Bay, approaching the White Settlement region. approaching Fort Worth. So yes, we're going to get new convection, continue to push further south. Now that leading edge is now pushed into the Interstate 30 corridor, heading into Irving, Carrollton, Highland Park, right in almost to downtown Dallas. Yeah, you can see it's mainly moving east, southeast, east, southeast. So there's not much activity north of 380 now. Everything's south of 380. South of Princeton, Fairview, Allen, East Allen's getting some heavy rains through Lucas, the Wiley region, Clear Lake down to Parker, Murphy. Yeah, there's Wiley there. Lavon, Saxe, Garland. All right, so this also is pushing into East Texas. This is where they have that, brand new flood warning as well. They've already had some 1 to 2 inches. Yeah, very heavy rain pushing through Sulphur Springs region, Mount Vernon, Mount Pleasant, Winfield. Also the Texarkana area. Yeah, more or less kind of training. Hey, Lauren. Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for tuning in to live coverage. Hey, super dark now in Benton, Arkansas. All right, so there's Benton, Arkansas there. Yeah, so you're right there. You're right there on the leading edge of the squall line. There is Benton, Arkansas, right along Interstate 30 there. And that squall line is just now approaching your area. Thanks for not overcomplicating. Hey, Debbie. Yeah, no problem. It's just you kind of have to break it down and take it one step at a time. Yeah, but the heavier rains are now pushing through Conway, Mayflower, heading towards Little Rock. It's just now on the leading edge of Benton there. If it's not pouring right now, it's just off to your west. Maybe another minute or two. Yeah, it's pushing through Arkadelphia, Prescott, through Hope. And now you are actually getting some initiation out ahead of the main squall line as well for these areas. Remember, we do have the severe thunderstorm watch, includes Shreveport further south into Ruston. So we're starting to see beginning stages of it pushing further southeast as well into Arkansas, further into Louisiana. Yeah, let's move back to DFW. Yeah, still just light to moderate rain, nothing severe. Everything's more or less south of 380 now. Hey, be safe driving. Hey, Denise. Hey, you're welcome. No problem. Hey, Amy. Yeah, it's raining in Benton now. Yeah, you're definitely feeling the effects of that squall line now. Yeah, you're hearing thunder in Anna. Well, it's still a long ways. There's nothing happening in Anna. You're probably just hearing it from McKinney. All right, so now it's starting to overturn into Irving. We kind of zoom in now. It's reached the Shady Grove area, back into Euless, Tarrant area, into Irving. That's pushing south towards Grand Prairie, the Cockrell Hill region. right along Interstate 30 there. The leading edge is pushed through the downtown area, the Swiss District, Lower Greenville. It's also pushing through Garland as well, Saxe. Everything's continued to push southeast now. Yeah, it's even pushing south of Denton, south of Oak Point. You're going to be done in McKinney here shortly, at least with the first wave here. Hey, any idea these nasty storms are going to be over? We've got 3 bad storms since last Tuesday. I mean, the best I can tell you, it's probably another couple of weeks, really through the end of June. I mean, you might get a couple of days lull. You have some activity tomorrow. Looks like it's pretty dry for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but it just comes back for the weekend and most of next week. So I really can't tell you it's going to be done, even though we do have a couple day reprieve. Appears mainly Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That just means the heat kicks in, likely mid 90s for temperature, 105 heat index. It's going to be probably borderline heat advisories. But the rains do come back for the weekend, maybe a complex Friday. We'll just see. Yeah, but the break is only going to be a couple days. It's not going to last very long. Hey, what a wild day. So we have 3 more storms coming. I mean, yes and no. Those are all hypotheticals. This is just the first. These are the first waves. We'll be watching new convection towards the Panhandle. Yeah, it's very, very small convection right now, but that's the system that we'll be eyeing that dives southeast. We'll just see how much this actually expands and turns severe. But the watch goes until 11 o'clock. It's well into the evening towards midnight. And these cells have been just kind of training after itself. So we have a series of severe, flood warnings across this region. That includes, Greenville, Sulphur Springs, out towards that into Arkansas here. Hey, sorry, I just got back on about when does the second wave come through. Yeah, just kind of undetermined right now. We don't really have a time slot or if and when, if any certainty it will come through. We just have first initiation on the outflow boundary forming, but that's in the Panhandle of Texas. So yeah, after this outflow boundary moves through, again, you're just going to have to kind of play it by ear. This one hasn't even been severe. But yeah, air mass completely saturated, still 100% humidity. We're pretty much maxed out right now. This is prime time atmosphere, 100% humidity. I mean, it doesn't get any. It's wet. It's yucky. It's all kinds of instability right now. Did not take. You saw how fast it overturned with that outflow boundary. And it's really because of that. If that outflow boundary didn't form, you would not have this convection, right? I mean, this was not on the radar. This was not in any of the models or anything. Actually, the squall line came through. The squall line actually fizzled out. It was just the outflow boundary is what is produced everything that you see now. Hey, I have pictures of the outer wall. If you have somewhere to send, yeah, please do it. Yeah, message me if you on Facebook. Yeah, you can look me up on Facebook, send it on a messenger. I can get pics and videos there. You can also do it through the POW app. If you have the POW app on Android or Apple, there's a place on there you can actually send pictures as well. I get them through email. Yeah, but most people just send it to me on Messenger. I got blew up yesterday. Of course, all those clouds and storm pictures coming in. But yeah, I'd love to see all your pictures. I mean, anything and everything you have. I take a look at every single one of them. I try to respond to most people. Sorry, I missed some of them. I probably had 150 messages yesterday, so I do get a lot of messages, especially on higher impact days. All right, let's look at some rainfall totals. This is through what time is it? Yeah, through 5 o'clock. This is just in the last hour. Yeah, so in the last hour, yeah, most of McKinney's picked up, half inch, almost an inch in some of these areas. Right over Lake Lavon, an inch. Frisco. Yeah, mainly where the warned areas are, Greenville, half inch, 1 inch. That's just in the last hour. All right, yeah. So it looks like they did, in fact, extend the flood warning further south as well. Yeah, so not only Collin County now, but now Dallas County has now been extended in the flood warning. So Collin, Dallas, Rockwall, all those areas under the flood warning, with again 1 to 2 inches of rain, has impacted this region. Continues to potentially rain between now and 8 o'clock through that 8 o'clock time frame. So a good part of the Metroplex is now under a flood warning. Collin County, Dallas County, Hunt County, pushing into East Texas, out towards Arkansas. This whole line's under a flood warning now. It's a cold pool of air. An outflow boundary is just a push of cooler air to overturn the atmosphere in the warm sector. So it essentially causes the air to rise and overturns the atmosphere, and it produces showers and thunderstorms. That's basically what it is. It's like a leading gust front, or they're usually left over from the days before, or they can push out ahead of squall lines to keep them going. But yeah, that's basically just a rush of cooler air out ahead of it to overturn in the warm sector. Hey, Dave, appreciate you becoming a member. Greatly appreciate the support. Yeah, just usually spawns new areas of convection. But you only get that in a non-capped environment. So it's pretty easy when you don't have a capping inversion in place to push out a cold pool of air to overturn the atmosphere. It can respond fairly quickly, like what you actually saw right before your eyes. Really overturn the atmosphere within really minutes. It didn't even take much at all. Minutes. Yeah, I greatly appreciate your support, Dave. Thanks for becoming a member. Hey, Candy, my granddad said is it you to get that cool air one day it will storm or the next day? Yeah, so basically that's what we've been seeing, right? These complexes been coming through. They leave outflow boundaries, setting up for the next day, and that's exactly. And it's really these outflow boundaries. It's kind of like where you can forecast where maybe instability might overturn the atmosphere. All right, cool. Hey, I appreciate you sending that to me. All right, it'll probably come through. Hey, quick question. I'm in Quinlan and I thought the storm was moving southeast, but my compass is showing these clouds moving really fast northwest. I mean, yeah, you have clouds and they go in different directions, but as far as like the rain goes, as far as like, the rain falling, we're not tracking clouds here, we're tracking rain. And so you're just probably seeing, moving at different layers of the atmosphere. But yes, these areas are moving east to southeast. They're definitely not moving northeast. You can see the movement, right? I mean, it basically when we came on, we were in Oklahoma here, and everything's pushing east to southeast. That's why we have the training flood warnings in place. All right, so here we go. There we go. We got it severe. We got our first one severe. There it is, southeastern trajectory, and we got golf ball size hail. There we go, folks. All right, so there is the supercell of the day, the first initiation of the supercell out towards into the panhandle of Texas. A considerable threat with golf ball size hail just outside of Perrington. Yeah, this was my concern with the severe thunderstorm watch issued. Now we have that warning as the cloud top's growing stronger. It's likely going to be over 50,000 feet now, but that has turned severe, and it already has golf ball size hail and some 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts to it. So it is considered a considerable severe thunderstorm warning as this continues to move southeast at only 10 miles an hour. So only 10 miles an hour there. Yeah, it's just right on the east side of Perrington, coming out of 377 and 23 here. Yeah, it looks like Booker and Wolf Creek Park are in the zone. Yeah, so let's look at the cloud tops now. Yep, we're at that crucial 50,000 foot there. So we did hit the big benchmark 50,000, turn severe, golf ball size hail. So we're likely going to see more of these little supercells pop up, but sometimes it really only needs one in this situation. This could be a bigger time supercell. So as this grows a little bit taller, I don't think we're there yet. So if it does get in the 55, approaching the 60 range, I'd be more concerned about rotation with this one as well. But we're already at 50,000 feet, and it's still likely continuing to have upscale growth. The ceiling is getting a little bit wider now. So we'll be tracking that one, but again, that's in the far corners of the Texas Panhandle. That's a long ways away, and then it's only moving 10 miles an hour, so that's basically crawling. Yeah, if it takes you 6 hours to drive to the Panhandle, but typically you're driving 60, 70 miles an hour, and this is only moving 10. Yeah, but nonetheless, the heavier rains will continue to push further south. It is pushing south into downtown Dallas. Now south of I-30 now, even south of I-30. Yeah, coming out to Lake Ray Roberts, out through West Tawakoni. Those heavier rains are extended into Greenville more. Nevada, Cattle Mills, Farmersville. Yeah, pushing out of McKinney, out of Anna, out of Melissa, out of Blue Ridge. Yeah, these continue to be mainly a wind threat. The more significant storm is up there by Perrington and the Panhandle. As of right now, that's the most significant storm that we even have to talk about. We did have some high winds earlier from the complex that came out of Oklahoma that did produce a lot of damage, like tree damage. Hey, Diana, you can send stars through the what percent he gets through. Hey, yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, you can always have that option. Facebook gives you the option to stars if you'd like to donate. Yeah, greatly appreciate it. And I know a few of you have donated through YouTube as well. They have the what they call super stickers. Every platform has their own little name for them. He should create a buy me a coffee account. Yeah, that's why Facebook has the stars option. And of course, I'm on Venmo, Zelle, PayPal. Pretty easy to look up. Everything's under Pal Ponder. But yeah, I greatly appreciate all the support out there. Hey, what's going on in McKinney? Well, anything. That we had the activity earlier. Most areas got quarter, half, some upwards to almost 3/4 of an inch in McKinney. Now, as you can see, it's mostly has moved further south now. So this is the outflow boundary activity. Probably not expecting any more from McKinney from at least this piece of it. And then all eyes will turn to the northwest with this new activity that's just now forming in the Texas Panhandle that will dive southeast throughout the evening. Yeah, you can always. Hey, Irene, you can always look me up on Venmo. Everything's under Roy Ponder, Pal Ponder on Weather, PayPal. If you want to do it directly, I fully understand. Yeah, it goes directly to me. You can just go on Venmo, type in Pal Ponder on Weather, Roy Ponder. Pretty easy to find. Yeah, but the outflow boundary continues to push south. Through Fort Worth. You can actually see it's pretty evident, right? This outflow boundary has been pretty evident. Now it's right here through Tarrant County, Arlington. So yes, the storms continue to push. They will continue to push southeast. Complements of the outflow boundary. That's just kind of showing you the expansion. All right, so we got a little cell down here to Palestine there. Hey Archer, thanks so much. Hey, appreciate the donation. Yeah, it's a little isolated cell out towards southeast Texas there. That's also the first initial stage of some activity pushing further south as well. So we are seeing some expansion in coverage. Hey, it's just started to thunder here in Middle Tennessee out of nowhere. Well, you got the warm front, right? Yeah, it's not really out of nowhere. You got the warm front that's been there. We had a severe thunderstorm warning over Union City earlier, dropped some 1/4 inch hail. Yeah, more activity is bubbling up right along that warm front. It's where most of the convection is. And yeah, that is highlighted across areas of Nashville here on the eastern side of Nashville. Not really moving very fast because it's mainly draped across the warm front. Yeah, there's nothing severe up there in western Tennessee, but you do have some stronger, some gustier winds and just upwards to 40 miles an hour at times. Then you got that borderline severe heading into Arkansas, coming out of Hope, Arkansas. These continue to push southeast. That's eventually going to push through Magnolia, Spring Hill, back into the El Dorado region. That's going to be eventually heading towards Minden, Ruston, Monroe. I mean, likely Shreveport will get in the action. Eventually, Tyler will as well. Longview. Yeah, everything continues to push a little bit southeast now. Is it going to get as far down as Spring? Yeah, I don't know. These are kind of all relying on these outflow boundaries. This is what keeps them alive. Yeah, as long as this outflow boundary keeps pushing ahead, then you're likely going to be overturning the atmosphere and keeping it pushing further and south. As soon as the outflow boundary fizzles, then that's pretty much going to stop the brakes on action. It's not going to be allowed to push further south. Hey, appreciate it, Stormy. Maybelline. All right, so you're asking about this region right here. So yes, you're under that mesoscale discussion. So you got the initial push coming out of Little Rock, heading towards Jackson, right along Interstate 40 there. Yeah, just the squall line hasn't made it there. But yes, you have some 40-mile-per-hour wind gust, penny-size hail. Yeah, nothing severe, but the squall line is approaching your area. Probably be pouring for about 20 or 30 minutes or so. And then you'll have light to moderate rain on the backside. And eventually light rain. So, yeah, everything could last, an hour and 15 minutes. So you're likely getting some initial, wind gusts at the moment, and then you'll get the heavier rains that will last about 20 minutes or so. And then it's just light to moderate on the backside. Hey, crazy lightning here in Josephine. Pretty good rains. Internet's out, but still have some power. Yep, so you got some heavier rains pushing through the Lavon region, out towards Lucas, Parker, Wiley, St. Paul. That continues to push further south near Carrollton, the Richardson area, Rockwall, Fate. Yeah, pouring right over on Lake Ray Hubbard right now. Yeah, that's moving through Mesquite back into Balk Springs. Yeah, pushing through downtown Dallas. You can see the outflow boundary south of I-20 now, south of I-20. So this continues to push further south. Yeah, it's definitely got a lot more lightning strikes than it did earlier. That's for sure. Definitely seeing a lot more convection out towards Nevada, Farmersville, Cattle Mills, down towards Greenville. Yeah, there's the city of Josephine, like you mentioned. Yeah, pouring right now in Josephine. You can zoom in there. Cook Street, 1777, off 547 there. Hey, Trey. Oh, yeah, you're coming in. Yeah, you messaged me at 6 o'clock. I mean, I honestly, That's what I was telling you. I don't think you need to reschedule. I mean, right now the airport's not. It's not raining at the airport. Most of the activity is actually south of you, so I don't think you're going to have trouble landing. You shouldn't have any. You should not have any trouble landing. Actually. Hey, you're welcome, Trey. Have a safe trip. Have a safe landing. Glad you made it back. All right, so let's go back up to this storm. Little bitty thing, but it's mighty. Does continue to have some soft golf ball size hail with it. A very, very small pocket there. Very tiny storm, just now getting going. Right outside of Perrington, pretty long ways away. But everything else in that severe thunderstorm watch, there's nothing else that has formed as of yet. Yeah, not much hail happening within this line. This is mainly just some pea-sized hail, if that. Definitely pockets of it. Hey, Heather. Hey, are we finished tonight in Prosper? Yeah, there's good possibility you might be. You just have to wait and see how much convection you get from the panhandle. These are going to be moving southeast. But it's likely not going to be anytime soon in Prosper. All right, so the heavier rains have pushed through in the Plano region, Murphy, Richardson, Saxe. Those areas are getting hard. You know, yeah, Garland right now is kind of in that lull. Not much happening in Garland, just some light rain. Yeah, once Highway 78 there, Avenue E. Yeah, it looks like a 1/4 inch officially at the airport. That's exactly what I've got too. Hey, I'm getting a lot of messages now. Appreciate all the messages. Yeah, I'll look at those after I get done. Yeah, the Perrington storm has a pretty good, beautiful structure, Rob. Yeah, those storms out in the Panhandle can be pretty significant, pretty cool to look at, especially when they're all by themselves. Yeah, just really not moving at all. Just kind of sitting and spinning in the same area. Hey, Ragtail. Hey, yes, definitely appreciate the shares. Yeah, all the shares. Every time you just hit the like button, yeah, it just tells just basically lets them know people are interested in it, and they'll actually help share share it with others. Hey, subscribe for PAL if you haven't. Like the video. It will cause YouTube to share with more people. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, appreciate it, Candy. Yeah, definitely hit the like button. Please share it if you can. Hey, Rose, I became a subscriber today. Your coverages over the last couple of weeks has been so appreciated. Hey, appreciate it so much, Rose. Thanks for becoming a subscriber. Hey, no worries, Julie. Yeah, I appreciate it, Stormy. Just keeping it to just to the weather, folks. Yeah, but yeah, so the heavier rains just continue to push through, just not really moving very fast. That's why we do have the flood warnings in effect. But we do have an expansion of the severe thunderstorm warning now that has pushed a pretty big area, pushed further into Arkansas. These have picked up a little bit of steam, moving at 35 miles an hour. You can see the leading edge, mainly a wind threat, maybe some borderline 60-mile-per-hour winds with this area moving out towards Linden, Magnolia, Bradley, those areas into Stevens, Arkansas, pushing through El Dorado. Yeah, that complex is eventually going to head through Shreveport, Ruston, Monroe. So those are going to be, that's the next area we'll likely get the severe thunderstorm warning extended as it pushes southeast at 30 miles an hour. Yeah, at least for right now, you're pretty much done in the Colony area, Frisco, Fairview, really even Allen now. Most of Allen's done. Melissa, McKinney. Just continue to push off southeast. The outflow boundary continues to push south as well. Now heading towards Burleson, the Benbrook area out towards Weatherford. Hey, Yellow Rose, I subscribed a few months ago, shared it with the friends. Hey, appreciate it. Hey, thanks so much for your support. Hey, Norma. Hey, you're welcome. Hey, Tyler. Yeah, Northwest Louisiana. Right now, it's not terribly too significant heading your way. I mean, we do have some severe thunderstorm warnings, but it's mainly a wind threat. I mean, it's not even really hail criteria. It's mainly a wind threat with this activity and the heavier rains. Yes, the big snows. Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, it seems so far away right now. I was trying to make a donation, but you have to be a member. No, you don't have to be a member to make a donation. My payment was declined on behalf it was not being a member. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Yeah, you don't have to be a member. I mean, to donate. I'm not sure how you were trying to donate. Yeah, everything's optional. All right, so we got new convection. This is actually the first sign too, pushing further south. So we got new convection pushing into Tyler now, out towards Marshall. Yeah, remember the watch goes all the way this far south into Tyler, Longview, Marshall. So we're getting the first signs of new convection pushing further south of I-20 now into East Texas. Yeah, it looks like Lake Ray Hubbard, Rockwall, Fate, those areas are getting the heavier rains right now. We do have numerous flood warnings in place. Most areas have picked up 1 to 2 inches across the warned areas, slowly shifting further south. Hey, Candy. Yeah, it works for me. I'm not a member yet. Hey, appreciate the support, Candy. Yeah, you can send super stickers. Yeah, you can donate through super stickers. You don't have to be a member. Yeah, member is always optional. Definitely appreciate the support. Thanks so much, Candy. I appreciate you showing the example. Hey, Paula, stay out of East Texas. Trees just laying down right now. Roots are so waterlogged and can't support the trees. Yes, I definitely understand. It doesn't take much to get these saturated soils and just these convective rains. Yeah, most of this activity is pushing further southeast. It is moving back into East Texas, unfortunately. But the lightning strikes have actually picked up a little bit. That's been one of the noticeable differences. The lightning strikes have picked up. And if anything, if I'm actually noticing something different, is the outflow boundary pushing out of Fort Worth and Arlington, and we haven't really seen the activity overturn the atmosphere there. So that's also a first sign of it kind of coming to a halt. That's also an area that is under a marginal risk. So most of the instability was draped across northwest of the Metroplex. If I can show you. All right. So yeah, it does actually push further south than I thought. So the slight risk extends all the way to Glen Rose. And here's the outflow boundary. Yeah, so on a bigger scale, this is what we're looking at. This is round one, outflow boundary round one. And this is the first initiation of round two. These will be moving southeast. But right now that cell's well north into Perrington. And there hadn't been anything formed out in West Texas. Yeah, nothing's actually formed along near Abilene. Hey, no worries, David. Yeah, my card got compromised the other day too, so it's a pain in the butt. I got a new card coming my way as well. All right, let's look for everybody. Let's look at everybody else. Yeah, just really a couple of areas, really around the warm front, really not severe, just borderline 40, 50 mile per hour wind gust. Those areas across western Tennessee. Another complex up there towards Wisconsin. We did have several borderline severe thunderstorm warnings earlier, but now it's just mainly transferring to a heavy rain threat. Yeah, even up there into Wisconsin, we have some 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts being reported earlier. All right, we got our first sign. Remember we talked about the lightning strikes getting a little bit more compact? Yeah, that was a sign of it getting a little bit stronger. So this one has actually turned severe. So we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Rockwall County. This was in central Hutton County as well as southeastern Collin County. So we had a severe thunderstorm that was located over the Cattle Mills region. You can see it pouring right here, right off 66. So that's continued to move east about 40 miles an hour. So it has actually picked up speed heading into East Texas. But nonetheless, this does have some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and some quarter-size hail potentially between now and 6:15. So for the next 30 minutes, it's going to be in Greenville around 5:50. So the city of Greenville in about 5:50 time frame, maybe just on the south side of Greenville, and then eventually heading towards the city of Campbell around 6 o'clock. But locations in the path are going to be Lone Oak, Center Point, back into Josephine, as well as into Cache, Dixon, and to Clinton, back into Nevada. We do have some stronger wind gusts with this. Let's see where the hell core is. Yeah, so the hell core right now is heading just south of Josephine, heading towards the Caddo Mills region, right along 66. I wouldn't say it's getting quarter-size hail right now, but it's just the atmosphere has the potential for it. But these are moving right along 66 there. So if anything, you're probably getting some penny to nickel-size hail. And this is going to continue moving, heading towards Greenville, maybe just south of Greenville, south of Campbell. Hey, what got me doing this? Yeah, well, I grew up in Houston. I mean, back when I was 8 years old, I had Hurricane Alicia went over my house. So that's actually when I first fell in love with the weather, really way back when I was 8. I'm almost 50 now, so it's been a while. But yeah, Hurricane Alicia went over my house. Power was out for 3 weeks. That was the 83 storm. That was a storm that had the cold front come in through August, sag all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. And then a lot of times on the tail ends of fronts, if they can make it in the Gulf really in August, which is kind of rare, that's what happened with that storm. It only took 3 days, but it blew up into a major hurricane, went right back up where it came from, and produced 115-mile-per-hour winds right over Houston Metroplex. So yeah, back then the area inundated pretty hard. I mean, even with that, our power was out for 3 weeks. So I really just kind of fell in love with the weather really since then. Kind of found myself watching the news stations. I'd watch like all 4 stations, 4, 5, 6, every one of them, just really kind of watched the weather. I really wasn't interested in the news. I was just interested in the weather. That's kind of how it started. And I was in running groups for a long time, and I would always forecast for the weather and say, hey, it's going to rain at 2 o'clock. And it would rain at 2 o'clock. And I'm like, Roy, how'd you do that? I'm like, well, I follow the weather a lot. So that's kind of how it started, really. Yeah, I started a Facebook page. I started a YouTube channel, and then yeah, it's where I'm at. It's all I do for a living. I've been doing this for about three or 4 years now, full time. Yeah, but we got lot of heavy rain moving through I-30 through Greenville. Yeah, that's been a noticeable difference, folks. Yeah, the outflow boundary is just not producing anything in Tarrant County. Everything's still pushing. It's actually kind of picked up speed. Most of this convection has been crawling 10, 15, 20 miles an hour. Now this warning is moving at 40 miles an hour. We're not getting any new convection building further south, at least on the western side. We're seeing it on the eastern side, but not on the western side. And if anything, this is continuing to push southeast and actually has picked up speed. Hey, Matthew, I've been following you for around 3 years now, and I recommend you to anyone who's interested. Hey, appreciate it, Matthew. Greatly appreciate the support. Hey, is there more coming, Brittany? Yeah, I mean, right now we're just watching the demise of this outflow boundary. This is what's the leftover, and it'd be this activity to the northwest in the Panhandle, but it's so far away right now. It just could be a while. And actually, this first wave really wasn't too bad. It's mainly been just a heavier rain threat. We got a lot of severe thunder, flood warnings here. But I wanted to come on live with you for a little bit and just kind of get you updated on what's happening. But so far it hasn't been too bad. Hey, please send some of that weather to San Antonio. Hey, what's the second wave looking like? Well, again, it's just now kind of forming in the Texas Panhandle. It's way up there, one little lone cell, long ways away. It may or may not even get here, but it won't be anytime soon. Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the convection models and actually doesn't have that. I mean, the convection models hasn't really been doing a fair enough job. It didn't have anything in the warned area. That's just not going to happen. Very difficult in this environment. All right, that's probably more likely the NAM3K solution. Here, I'll show you this. Here's some of the convection models. Yeah, because this first wave is pretty much almost, it's still raining, but it's sort of coming to an end. Yeah, this is probably what's the more favored guidance, I would say. This is the NAM3K. Let's let this run out and we'll go over it together. All right, so what we're looking at right now, this is this is the convection guidance. This is not current. This is future guidance. So yes, right now it's kind of highlighting that 3 o'clock time frame. So we're going back in time a little bit. All right, so there it is. There's catch you up to speed. This is current stuff, 6 o'clock. has that squall line, right? This the model actually has is kind of matching up more than what's actually happened real time. This is a model run right now, which is more or less what's happening in real time, because we do have convection up here, up towards further into Pampa. But yeah, we'll be watching this stuff from the northwest. Much of the outflow boundary will be continue to push across into East Texas, Northeast Texas, much of Arkansas, and then we'll be watching this activity coming from the northwest down to the southeast through Wichita Falls, maybe towards Abilene. This is towards maybe 8 o'clock, right? 8 o'clock. And then as we approach the 10 o'clock time frame, mainly the stuff that's coming from the northwest will continue to kind of congeal into a squall line, if you will, from Ardmore to Gainesville, down to Glen Rose to Hamilton, and this would likely continue to push further southeast, head through the metroplex maybe towards midnight for the second round of activity. And then we might have more of a mesoscale guidance pushed a little bit further into central Texas by then. But this scenario is likely a little bit more likely to play out than the other scenario, which really didn't have any convection at all, which I don't believe that. But yeah, it just shows you that round 2 likely coming. But it won't be until much later, won't be anytime soon. Could be several more hours, could be towards the 10, 11, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning time frame. All right, let's go back to live coverage. And we do have the extension of the severe thunderstorm warning further south into Perrington. So as I was showing you, this is likely going to be filling in through the evening. And that's going to have its own little squall line pushed through for round 2. Yeah, but mainly these are just kind of a heavy rain threat. Yeah, there's nothing even severe up into Wisconsin. Not much happening in western Tennessee as well. And even this one's kind of borderline severe at the moment. All right, guys. Yeah, I mean, it's terribly not too much significant. We kind of went over everything. This is mainly just a heavy rain threat for right now. This is the first wave of instability that's moving through the Metroplex right now. It's moving, from Dallas eastward. This will likely continue for a couple more hours with moderate to heavy rain as it pushes slowly south. And then we'll be watching that round 2 activity that's starting to build into the far extreme portions of the Panhandle. But that's going to get continued, pushing, maybe try to turn tornadic. We'll just see maybe towards Childress, Wichita Falls. But more or less, these will continue to dive east-southeast. We're likely pushing into the western areas towards 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, maybe moving through the Metroplex towards midnight for the second round. But that's what kind of it looks like. That's what it looks like to me, folks. All right. Hey, I appreciate you tuning in to live coverage. There's nothing terribly too significant right now to continue live coverage. So I appreciate everybody watching. Thanks for tuning in. Greatly appreciate all the support, all the donation. Welcome to all the new followers out there, and subscribing to the channel and hitting the like button. Greatly appreciated, everyone. All right. I appreciate you watching. Stay tuned, and I'll keep you posted. All right. Bye for now.